Gladue is not a sentencing discount case. Okay, Gladue is not a case where you say, well, Your Honor, you would get this guy, would get 6 months, but look at him. He's an Indian. Knock 3 off. Okay. I mean, that's not what Gladue's about. Gladue's not a sentencing discount case. What Gladue is about is starting from the premise that we know that jail doesn't work. It doesn't work for anybody. And the court's very clear. The court spends a lot of time in Gladue talking about Canada as a country that jails too many of everybody. Canada is number 2 or number 3 in the Western world in terms of use of jail. The only reason we feel smug about it is because we're next door to the Americans who are just nuts about it. But if the Americans weren't just so jail crazy, we'd be number 1 or 2, and that's not an honor anybody wants. One of the reasons it doesn't work, the court says in Gladue, is because Aboriginal offenders, as a result of those systemic and background factors, are more adversely affected by incarceration and less likely to be rehabilitated thereby, because the internment milieu is often culturally inappropriate, and regrettably, discrimination towards them is so often rampant in penal institutions. Very nice words. There's racism in jail. There's racism throughout the criminal justice system. The court acknowledged it in a case called Williams. They've acknowledged it in this case. That's why jail doesn't work. But, so jail doesn't work. You can't say to the judge, jail doesn't work, and just, you know, let him go. What options exist?
Program's been going on a long time now, and here's a little bit of the information that we found. Let's go back to that family of 4, the father offender, his wife, and the victim, and the sibling that's there. Here's what we found. The young girl that we deal with, and actually the statistics comes from young girls who are sent to our program who are victims of sexual abuse. That's how they get into the treatment program, referred by any source that's out there, child welfare, whichever, doesn't matter, between the ages of 12 and 16 years old. So that's why they're referred, because of their sexual abuse. 65% of all of those young girls in treatment tell us that they too are child molesters. 65% of those kids who we're treating because of their victimization indicate to us in therapy that they too have molested kids. We need to think about that, because when we try to help kids to talk about sexual abuse, if that child who might not only be a victim of abuse, but also somebody who may have perpetrated as well, thinks that our impression of them is that perpetrators should go to jail, should be castrated, should be this, they're not going to tell you much of anything. They're not going to tell us much of anything. 65% of those kids tell us clearly in therapy that they have molested kids. Their mothers who got into therapy as well, because remember we got the father, the husband, the wife, and the kids in therapy. The mother, who's often referred to as a non-offending parent, there, close to 70% of them tell us when they were children they molested kids too. So now we've got this father who's a sex offender coming into the program who also tells us he's been victimized sexually. Do you know the 2 most common people who sexually molest these guys? Their aunts and their sisters. So we've got this father who's a sex offender plus also a victim. We've got married to this wife who also is a victim of sexual abuse, who possibly, according to our own statistics, 70% of them also molested as well. Then we've got this young girl coming to us who's identified as a victim of sexual abuse, and that's why we're treating her, only to find out 65% of them indicate that they almost also molested kids. Then we've got this other forgotten group of people, and that's the siblings over there. Normally, at the point of disclosure, those siblings don't frequently disclose their own abuse or if they've abused as well. I don't have the number for you statistically right in front of me right now, but I will tell you this, that out of the siblings that we deal with as well, a high percentage of them also have indicated to us that they've not only been victims, but also have offended as well. So really, who are we treating here? Who are we treating? If all we're doing is we're taking this picture, this artificial picture of a family that's referred to us, where we've got what is identified as an offender, non-offending parent, an identified victim, and a sibling that's there, I can assure you that in the majority of the situations we deal with in therapy, that is simply the presenting issue. That's not the truth when you start to open the doors. So part of what we believe we need to do in order to try to deal with this family holistically is to deal with the entire family system that's there.